Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Live SEO Site Audits. I'm Itamar Blauer. Today, I'm joined with Simon Cox, who is actually a very, very talented tech SEO. But actually, I don't really want to say tech SEO because we spoke backstage. And, Simon is a webmaster. And I feel, Simon, give yourself an introduction as to what you mean by that.
Well, I've been building websites since 1995, and that's all there was in those days. You had webmasters and users, and I really still think I'm a webmaster because not only do I do tech SEO these days, which is incredibly important, but I build sites, I write stuff for sites, I do illustrations for sites, and I manage sites, for other people as well. So I think that basically puts a lot of hats on. I haven't specialized in anything really, although I do a lot of technical SEO these days because that's the most fun you can have in your life, and that's where I focus. But I do everything.
All right, awesome. Well, that's perfectly reasonable. A true veteran in the field, as we'd say. But yeah, we've got some people in the live chat. So we've got GJ. Hello to you. How's it going? We've got Daryl Wilson. Hello, good to see you. And so, yeah, as we're waiting for people to come in case you don't or you've never seen a session like this before, what we do is essentially get some websites that people put in the chat or submit to us beforehand, and then we take a look at it in terms of like a first impressions viewpoint, and then we can go into different things and help people kind of by giving them our thoughts about how their website's like, not only in terms of the SEO, but also important things such as the design, the UX, that kind of stuff as well. So hello, Alistair. Good to see you. Thanks for joining in today. And yeah, we'll just give it a couple minutes for people to come in. So, Simon, any exciting news this week on your life?
Oh no, something that's excited me this week is Microsoft has just launched their Clarity tool, which I put on the site this morning. Took me 2 minutes, and it gives you heat maps and tells you all sorts of really interesting insights. I think that's going to be quite interesting. I'm not sure how it works with GDPR. I'm sure it's breaking loads of rules, but Brexit's coming. Who cares?
That's brilliant. Yeah, heat maps. I haven't used heat maps in a while. Last kind of software I used for that was Hotjar. But yeah, I think heat maps are still very important. So that sounds interesting. I'll probably look into that once we're done with today's session.
It's also free as well, which I think is a good move on Microsoft's part. And I'm sure it'll take a lot of upkeep on it. There's some interesting things in there. My favorite bit is if somebody rapidly clicks a space on a page, it brings it up as a rant click or anger click. So you can basically, it tells you where that happens or where people are clicking stuff and nothing's happening, which is really interesting for sorting out where people are flowing through your site and then things aren't happening. So yeah, I'm really quite excited by that. Of course, there's an overhead for time for page speed, but the site I put it on is so slow anyway, it's not going to make any difference. But I think if you've got a nice fast site, and when we get that site fast in the future, it might be a case of turning it on and off when you need to. Maybe just for certain areas, certain pages, right? Go and test this page for a few days and see what's going on and why people may be dropping off on this cart at this point, etc. So yeah, that's what's exciting me this week.
That's really interesting, especially the kind of rage clicks. It'll be good for people to see where people are getting annoyed, where your users are kind of pissed off on your website. But that's really cool.
It also means that if I know that somebody's using it, I will go and rage click on their website just for fun.
Make them think something's actually wrong with it. That's deception at its finest form. Hello, Shiolep. Good to see you. It's a lovely compliment from Shiolep here. And I think, yeah, on that, we'll get ready to start. So, guys, as well, whilst we're reviewing these sites, don't be afraid to pop your site down in the live chat. The way you do it is you just put the domain and then space and then the top level domain. So for example, Google and then space com. So that's how you submit them there. And we'll get started with the first site that was actually submitted to us beforehand by GJ. and this website is called Bed and Breakfast Niev. I can't pronounce that. Simon, how do you pronounce that?
Oh, I don't know. I can't even speak English properly.
But yeah, we'll get this site up. And Simon, if your screen, should I pop your screen up and we could just take a look?
Yes, if you can do that. Why not?
All right, cool. So, Bed and Breakfast Niev. I'm not going to say. I'm just going to. Don't know what to say for that. Burgundy. So, Simon, first impressions on this site.
Well, first impressions are fantastic image, and we were just looking at this before we came on air, and we had different images, which is really quite interesting. And yeah, if you reload, we get different images. Just 2 at the moment. Come on, there, another one.
Is this a way just to get more sessions, or what? Let's have a think.
Well, probably yes, but I don't think the thing people coming into the site won't won't see there are different images unless they go around the site and then come back to the homepage. And I worry that the continuity is not there, and they might not realise they're back at the homepage. It is better than a slider, because sliders just are horrible and don't serve any other purpose than keeping people happy in a big organization where you've got lots of stakeholders who want space on the homepage. But this site isn't like that, because I know who site this is. So that's not a problem. So I would not have different images for each one. I'd go for a solution here and change this, where I'd have maybe different images on a different period. So maybe a monthly image. Maybe seasonal images as well, and I change that every month. Otherwise, people traveling around the site may get a bit confused of where they are. The other aspect of this as well is that the text on here, it looks fine on this image, but I'm just wondering if 1 or 2 of them, there is a little bit breaking up. It's a little bit more difficult to read here. And anytime you've got text on the top of images, which is great for screen readers, etc., and also for SEO. Anything that's good for accessibility is good for SEO. But I'd worry that maybe an image gets in there, or somebody looks at the screen at a certain size where that white text is over contrasting colors in the background, or maybe white, and you can't read it. So looking at that at mobile size, we'll put down to there. That works. That's fine. But it could be a situation where an image goes in. So that's something that has to be looked at, and maybe different sizes as well. So there are techniques around that. You can put some CSS banding in there so that it doesn't matter what comes across the back, that you can actually still read that properly. There's a lovely little piece in Inspector where you can check colors against the background. You have to highlight it. I can never find the damn thing. Maybe if I come off mobile, pick out a text and look through here and find the color. Oh, I'm being thick.
I think I've seen before what you're talking about with the, yeah.
It's this bit, but there's no contrast information really, because it's against the back, against the image. If it was against the background, so for instance, another one there. For this example, this one, I could go to space and pick up the color there. No, that's not right, is it?
GJ saying the image is not sharp. Well, that's self-critique at its best, GJ.
Yeah, I can never find this damn thing. It depends on how the thing's set up as well. Your divs are set up, etc. If you've got a background color in your image, you're on this little panel here. It'll show you where the ranges are for accessibility, and there's a good one to pop in there and just check that if you've got situations. It doesn't work on photographs though, so I'm going to pop that down. So yeah, I would do what we like to call a drive calendar, and then for every so often, it could be quarterly, it could be monthly, it could be weekly, etc. Just plan to have a new image, and you look around and have seasonal images, etc., and change those on during that time. the only reason is some lovely photographs there. Yeah, that one's fantastic. Photographs of the inside as well is obviously very important. We'll come across that later. But having those seasonal images on the homepage, so when people get back, because they're traveling around the site, they'll keep coming back to the homepage. I think it's important.
Yeah, because I got confused when I remember I saw, as we were testing the kind of sharing screen beforehand, is that you showed your screen, but I thought you were on a different website, because as I came back to my tab, I saw a completely different image, and then I just got really confused. Maybe it was a different domain or something like that, and that might genuinely be how somebody might feel. Say they go on the site once, maybe they check it out, maybe they bounce at some point, they end the session, they come back a couple of days later, and then it'll be like, well, what's happened? Like they might be just confused. They might be, is this the right website? So that's, I think, quite important. I like the suggestion about seasonal images, because especially if you're going to be renting this place out all year round, then it's important at least people who are looking to book can see what it's like in that season, or maybe the upcoming season, depending on how far in advance people tend to rent this property. So that's something I'd say off the back as well. And we've got Andy here as well. Good to see Andy. And he was mentioning about language selector for the top navigation menu. And this is something like I noticed as well. One of the tabs at the top is you've got the Entraîne Sonohain. I can assume it's French, but it's like when everything else is in English, and then you've got one page that, and it starts off in French as well, and then it's got an English bit towards the bottom. That's another thing that can be quite confusing for a user, because especially when you've got the predominant, the site's predominantly in English. So you got to think as well of targeting. Are you targeting mostly English speakers, or if you've realized you've got a lot of people on the site who live in France, maybe they're going for like domestic holidays, then it might be better to have the option to select the French language, just so that they don't have to rely on the auto, say if they're on Chrome, like the auto translations, because those can get sometimes a bit messy as well, and you don't really want that when it comes to renting properties, because the details are important for people, so you don't want them to get the wrong impression. So I would say that about the language. What do you think, Simon?
I think in this case, it's quite a small site. It's a very small business, and I know GJ speaks 3 languages at least, possibly more. I take the trouble of expanding this out so that the language, I basically have a page for each language. I wouldn't do anything clever like detecting geolocation and change the language from that. It's better, if you're going to do that, to check the browser language and maybe give an option there. But obviously then we fall into the trap of Google's English and comes from America, and it wants to be able to see all of them. So you do have to have a way of switching between them, and not a mechanical way, but actually a way that a user can go in and change those languages. But I think it's a good point. It's a bit odd seeing the non-English language in the menu there. I don't know why it's there. Why would you do that?
DJ, answer us. Why would you do that? But yeah, I mean, like I said, you got to think about it from somebody who might find your site from search, and then it's just something like that. It might put them off because they're not accessing what they want. And another thing that I would say as well on the concept of the text that's on there. So I'll just share my screen really quickly and just draw. Okay, so. In terms of the case, so there's inconsistencies in the case here. So with B&B, usually you'd have B&B in capitals. So you've got it here with your new section, but you don't have it for the other bits as well. And it's just, consistency. And also, I think, I don't know what to make of just the kind of page, so like the H1s or whatever, this side, on this left side, with just all white text, and then the bulk of the content's just been split just to this right hand side. I feel like it is potentially just a waste of space on the page. You could potentially fit more and have just these bits towards the top. like here. And something else that I noticed as well, which was quite interesting, is some of the page titles. So doing a site search, I found that your cookies policy, just the page title, cookies at bed and breakfast never. I like, to me, I thought that was like, it's like a special offer for your guests because you just give them cookies on arrival or something. I've got no idea. Maybe that's just my brain and it's not working right, but that's how I interpreted it at first. And I think maybe as well, just looking back, are there better ways potentially to optimize these page titles as well? And some of the meta descriptions as well. I think this is probably custom. I like this for the homepage, but even like this, like you're welcome, like I wouldn't put the apostrophe there, because you're welcome like that is if somebody thanked you and you're saying you're welcome, you want to have you are welcome, if that's what you're getting at. Because this, it's just a different meaning. It'll be interpreted differently, I would say. But overall, I mean, the site itself is not bad at all. I don't think it's a bad site. I think, you've got the kind of main bits. The only thing that I will, like the final thing I'm going to get a bit picky about is about making a reservation. Because essentially, with this make a reservation page, you're forcing people to go onto the calendar to check when the dates are free, and then to have to remember that, and then go back to the reservation and then add it within the comment or message to say, hey, we want to reserve this place between this and this date. Like there must be other ways that you can make that easier for people to book directly from the calendar. Just because it will save you time as well. If you can automate that, especially, it will save you time from having to manually kind of mark dates as unavailable when people book. So it will just save you time, and it will make the whole process of making a reservation much easier for your users. Any final bits, Simon?
Well, I'm just having a whiz around the news section, which standard blog stuff, and that's really good to have for a B&B, because you can give a real flavour of the local area and what the tourist attractions are around there. So it gives people an idea of what they can see, etc. It's got a nice big call to action on the bottom of them, leave a reply. But I'd actually go a bit further than that, and I'd have some banner there saying book now to reserve your space and come and visit us, etc. So whilst a comment's fine, you really want a proper call to action in there to actually get people to book. Mm-hmm. I haven't checked on the what I normally do is I'll jump in and have a look at the structures and how they're actually done. I'm assuming let's have a look at the code. Oh, I like jumping in the source. Right, so I don't know, probably video on H1. So there we got the first thing I find is always go and look at the H1s, right? So the H1 is reviews from our first month, and that is the title, which is fine. This is sometimes I'm working on a Wix site recently, and all the titles throughout the site were H2s, and I popped them all up onto H1s without changing the look and feel. And it did actually make quite a bit of a difference to the site. I was very pleased to say. So this one I tend to look at more. It's all right looking at the page and seeing a structure. Now, obviously, we've only got a title on this page, it's not a particularly good one. But if you've got a page with a lot of content on it, it really is worth having a look at that structure on this. It's actually, I've got a little tool up here called Outline, which shows HTML5 outlines, and that shows you the structure of a page and how the content's actually put together. And that's really useful to understand that, because that's how Google looks at that content. And if you've got subheadings in there, it structures the page up. And now with the new Fraggles that have come along, or whatever they're calling it, but Cindy called it Fraggles. they're grabbing parts of that content and showing up. So it's even more important, I think, now to actually get structure into your content. So, could you put, no, this one's probably a little bit too short. For I haven't been all through all the news stories, but pad them out, get more content in there, and an internal link, so that linking off to your booking form and certainly back to the homepage, etc., will, from within the content, will be a useful thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. The internal linking there as well is really important, and structure, as you mentioned. And I think Andy made a good point as well in the comments about talking about USPs. And I think that's something that you can incorporate in the news section as well. Like if you know that people in this area really love their wine, you can potentially create a post about the best wines in this area, whatever the area is called, because I'm not going to pronounce it. But you could do stuff like that, and at least that way you'll be able to get some more content on the site, and you can potentially be ranking for these terms that people are interested in, because and you think of the intent for somebody who is looking for the best wines in this area. Maybe they're looking to go for a holiday there and enjoy some really good wine. So that's another thing to consider as well, especially when it comes to content strategy over time, because that's the only way essentially you're going to be adding more content to this site, is going to be through that new section as well. So I would say that's really important.
I've just done a quick search of B&B, and you have Burgundy, and this is the sort of area I want to be homing in on. It's in the hotel category. That's quite the competition. It makes it quite difficult to get up there, but it's worth doing, because having a go at that, and maybe some structured data sitting in the site would be good. So you're on WordPress, so Yoast or one of the other things, to get the structured data in there and let Google really understand what the content's about. But that's really where you want to be in the hotel stack, if you can. That's a tough call, but they are. There's first, which is in the organic, which is great. And to be honest, I wouldn't expect anything less from GJ.
I wouldn't expect anything less. That's exactly right. But yeah, really good point actually about, like, you're seeing what kind of snippets come up first. Then obviously that hotel pack is the most prominent one there. So if you can get on there, then that will increase a lot more about your interest, and you'll get more visits to the site as well as a result. But any kind of final words of advice from your part, Simon, on this site before we move on?
Probably a bit more content. I mean, as Rob mentioned, I have a friend who has also set up a little chateauette in France. They moved to it this year. Who they're going to turn that into a B&B. And one of the things they've done is actually write a whole set of pages about the region, because it's in the Champagne region, and talking about the wines and stuff. And I think that will work really well here, because there's a whole sort of history of wine in the region, what Champagne's about, what the local carves are, etc. And that could itself build a really nice section and draw people in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, solid point. I think, padding out content, getting more content on there. You can potentially, if you really wanted to kind of go over and beyond the competition, having somebody to come in to take those like 360-degree videos as well, where people can sort of like navigate through the house as they wish, and then they get a much better idea of the kind of stuff they can expect. But GJ, never doubted you, never will doubt you. And yeah, just little tweaks here and there, but I think on the whole, it's kind of set up. It's set up nicely, so it gets a thumbs up from me. But yeah, we've got Nick, the engineer. Hi, Nick. Good to see you. We've got Ahmed, who said he put a site down, but then he said ignore the first website. So I don't know if you mean you don't want us to check that site, but. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Can you clarify that in the live chat? We did have another site that was submitted beforehand, but I don't know if in the chat, if Leonardo is in the chat, let us know. But if not, I guess we can start with Nick's the site that Nick submitted whilst we wait for Ahmed to kind of clarify if he wanted us to check the site or not. So this is North Lane Hair Co. So I'll be typing that in as well. I need to go back to see what north.co.uk.
It'll be Brighton, isn't it?
I didn't know that was in Brighton. Shows my geography of the UK.
It's got to be in Brighton. Here we go. Now, actually, my first impression here immediately is that the background to the title of the image here was exactly the same as the last site we looked at, but it's stronger. It's showing more solid background. When you were talking, I did go back and look at GJ's site, and he does have a darker background on there, which does pop it up just enough. So it's a case of how far do you go, and I think that the important thing here is there's a lot going on with this image, and that background tone does pop the text out, but it is quite difficult to read because there's so much going on in that background image.
It looks busy as well from the kind of CTAs as well. I mean, you've got a CTA, call us today, or to arrange an appointment. Then underneath, you've got a clickable CTA, book appointment. And then on the right, you've got that, it's kind of panning left and right for check for last minute availability. It's sometimes even hard, like you have to hover over it for it to stop moving. So, it's quite busy with calls to action, and that's for people as soon as they land on the site. So if they land on the site for the first time, they might just freeze for a bit and be like, well, what am I meant to do here? So that's kind of what kind of strikes me to begin with anyway. But as soon as you go down, you've got some kind of context about the salon, and you've also got some internal links as well to like tutorials, offers, and what you've done. And then you've got the shop as well, and some products and testimonials. So I think the homepage, there's a lot of content on this homepage. I feel like just from the get-go, it's more, and I think that the testimonial one confused me a bit just because of the color gradient. I mean, it's fairly similar to the other colors you've got there, but I don't know if it's that consistent. Maybe it would have been nicer looking more like exactly the color that you had there before. But I think, it's just, you've got a lot of stuff going on that homepage. So it's just being more critical about where exactly you want users to go when they land here. Because what it seems like, you're giving them all the options, but really, is there specific, are there specific maybe 1 or 2 pages that you want them to see, as opposed to just kind of giving everything to them from the beginning? Because that's what sometimes I see a lot on homepages is, it's great that you want to link to everything else and you want to share so much of what you do, this, that, and the other. But, sometimes people just won't click on it just because there's too much choice. So I think maybe being a bit more selective with your calls to actions, maybe being a bit more kind of focused in terms of where you want people to go from the homepage. I would say from the beginning, because there are loads of different parts of the site. You've got the shop, you've got your prices, you've got information about the team, you've got galleries of your work and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, really busy.
It is busy. I'm a bit concerned about the shop element on the homepage. I don't think that should be there at all. When there's a shop section as well. What's in there?
And there was a CTA as well saying like to click on the shop, right? Visit shop, but then you've got the shop underneath it, which is why do people need to click shop then?
So there could be some argument to say that you got more content on that homepage, then it will attract more traffic because there's more keywords that will it potentially will rank for. But I'd actually say that's wrong. I think it's stronger if you've got that shop page, probably with a bit more content about the shop, because it's just products. Typical shop page, I would expect to see something up the top here describing why you're selling products at all. But rather than go to Boots, go to North Lane Hair Colour to get your your wax or whatever. But I wouldn't have it on the homepage simply because, one, it's making the page take longer to load. It is duplicate content with what's in the shop section. Perhaps a small strip of bestsellers. I mean, having said that, maybe that is a small strip of bestsellers because there's 22 pages of this stuff. Potentially. So look how many pages there are. Yeah, so there's 22 pages of product, which is quite a lot for. But it's a hair company. It's not just a hairdressers, is it? So I well, maybe not too much. Gone too far. But my thought there is there's this interesting content about introduction to the shop. That's not on the shop page. I think that ought to be on the shop page. There's that free delivery on orders over 35. Interesting. Why isn't that on the shop page? But that is a nice little call to action. But it kind of melds into this bit. I really would go for one row of things to sell on the homepage, which I've seen work. It's just having 8 there, maybe a little bit too much, makes that homepage a bit too big. Oops, because you've kind of lost something. It'll be very interesting to see what the flows were through the site on this. I'd go and have a look at that and see what those funnels are and where people are coming. It may be that they've discovered there's good funnels on there and the people are going through from those products on the homepage through and buying the stuff. In which case, I'm completely wrong. Keep them on there.
What do you think about the individual products? Because obviously, every time it's a site that sells products, I always like to kind of see certain things about the way that they lay out the product pages specifically. So I think, for this one, I don't know why the price is gray. It just makes it a bit harder to see. It's like you can get the impression as like they're trying to hide the price. Maybe it's too expensive or more expensive than it should be. So I would definitely change that color. But
it's almost like it's embarrassed to be there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Big and strong is only £19.50. Not it's kind of £19.50. It might be a bit too much. Only £19.50. But then again, if we go into a quick search on Redkin Extreme Length, it may be £18.50 elsewhere. So.
Yeah, but I think everything else, I mean, you've got the description. I don't know how I feel about having to this is spelled incorrectly. It's desk or desk. Oh no, I'm actually an idiot. Never mind. Forget I said that. I thought description was spelt wrong, and for a sec I was like, wait, what? And then I had to look at it closely again. But I don't know how I feel about having to click on these particular things that should really be there without having to click. For example, like I guess the descriptions, you got a fair bit, but think about the kind of white space you've got on the left side where the kind of images underneath. There's so much more space there that you can pad it out with, but also additional information. I suppose it is quite important because people are going to need to know, like what type of hair it's good for and this, that, and the other, and even reviews. Like you should be proud, I think, especially if you got good reviews, be proud to show them already. Don't have it hiding and so people have to click to access them, I would say. But yeah, if there's a way just to kind of pad out that content to use up more of the left side of the screen.
Right, so where does that go? Nothing happening. I can hover over 2 custom reviews, but nothing's happening there. That may be me blocking because let's turn this off.
I'll check that for another product as well. Which one was that you were on?
It's the custom review. Yeah, it is, but it'll be the same on every page because it's templated. So yeah, I'll check it on another browser. I'm not blocking everything
because I can't see the 5 stars on the. Maybe I'm not on the right product. Oh no, there it is now. So yeah, when I click it, it doesn't go anywhere. So obviously, the URL changes obviously to the ID of the reviews, but it's not actually going down. So it could just be a coding problem there potentially.
That text there isn't particularly readable. And also, I did know, to be honest, I know this is aimed at younger people than me, but I do find the text up in the main menu quite difficult to read. It's, all uppercase is much more difficult to read than mixed case, which is why we have mixed cases, because you can read it quickly and easily. So from a design point of view, no doubt the designer feels that's a good idea. But I would not be surprised if Google is picking this up of having not enough space between each of the words, with the tab bits. So the space between me to thee is barely smaller than the space between gallery and meet. So I think there are going to be some people that have maybe some issues with that. So in Google Search Console, I bet a pint that it's been flagging up that they're too close. You get one of these mobile issues.
I think for me it looks okay on my screen, but maybe it's different.
You know than me.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think it's more just it could just look differently on different types of devices. But I did notice as well that when you click on the 2 customer reviews, it does actually go down, but only once you've clicked on reviews to begin with. So people who aren't gonna, like, if somebody clicks on the review straight away, they might just think that you're either lying or it's just something's broken. So I would definitely have the reviews actually showing up to begin with, just to fix that, and also just to make the product pages look nicer, I suppose.
Okay, there may be a bigger issue behind there then. If it's only recognizing this will be a JavaScript click when it, let's have a look.
I think they've also found a new customer in Andy. He's speaking very highly of this site. Might have to take a trip down to Brighton, Andy.
Yeah, so I'd be worried about that, because and I'd be looking into that in more depth, because if it only finds the anchor when you click down to when you got reviews open, that means the anchor isn't showing normally, and maybe, just maybe, Google's not finding those reviews, but maybe that's on purpose. Maybe they're being cloaked. I don't know. Depends where they're coming from, because sometimes Google gets a bit iffy about reviews. I can't see anything wrong with this. And I'd be interested in making sure that they're showing. Google's actually,
I think make everything show, because if that's the case for the reviews, maybe Google's not even picking up on the description or the additional information. So especially if for all Google knows in terms of when it gets smarter about structured data and displaying certain types of technical specifics when people are looking for products, that might also be something that Google just can't see, which is a shame, because you've got it. But if it's impossible for the crawlers to access, then consider, like we were saying before, just to show it without having to click.
So I'm assuming these are not products that the North Lane Hair Company actually make themselves. They're all Red Ken. I don't know. Maybe do make them, but they are competing against high street chains, etc. to do that. I would see products such as this as a supplement to actually hair care, which I'm assuming is their main thing. Yep. Leading hair kind of beauty nail salon. So it's a salon basically, and salons sell this stuff as a secondary item to people. Say, done your hair, would you like to buy some stuff? I don't know the full details, the data on this, but I don't think people normally would go to a salon to purchase hair products. They'd buy them if they're in there. So I'd be looking at this thinking, well, we're spending money on this shop, etc. Is it worthwhile? Or is it better? Do we get better sell throughput from the actual shop? Obviously, this year there's been a big, huge chunks of this year where people haven't been able to go to get a haircut, like me. So actually, going online and doing that is probably a bit of a smart move, and having those on the front page is a smart move in that case as well. So I don't know what's been on the site in the past. So yeah, it could be that they've pivoted to actually do that and get to an audience that haven't been coming in.
Yeah, I agree. And I think based off of Andy's point, he was saying that, the site is actually ranking really well. So I just put it up on Ahrefs, just to have a look to see. And I mean, a DR of 3.1, which people will tell you is absolutely atrocious, but you know, this site ranks for over 3,000 organic keywords. And if we look at the organic search in terms, they've started ranking for loads more keywords since the beginning of the pandemic. So, you know, there's definitely been a lot of work done, which probably competitors haven't done, because if you actually take a look at these rankings, these are some keywords with hundreds of search volumes that people are typing in. And I mean, you know, if your own brand has, and that is the brand name, right? No, yeah, Law Flame Hair. So, you know, you've got people know you in the area. And I think that's also really important, because if people know you for what you do and you do a good job, then people will visit your site. You know, you will get more traffic as well. So that's probably something I'm seeing here. This is just an example of a brand that's well known in the area that gets traffic and is ranking quite nicely. I think if you were to build some more links as well, because you don't have too many referring domains, then you can potentially get those rankings from, you know, mid of page 1 to the first 3 positions, I would say, with not too much work as well, I would say. So that's something also to consider, just another opportunity.
Yeah, they seem to have got local search sewn up as well. So just typed in their hair salon Brighton and North Lane Hair Company are up top, which is good. They've even got schedule in there, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so some good stuff going on there.
I think they're definitely one of the more competitive or better known or best, you know, types in their area for hair salons. So that's really good. I think keep it up, and those few tweaks that we were mentioning will definitely just help the site perform and feel just a bit better, I reckon. Are we happy to move on, Simon, or is there anything else you want to?
I'm just having a quick look. I've just run a crawl on it. I'm just having a quick look around and see if there's anything of interest. Done a quick screaming frog on it, and I can't really see anything that's of any worries. There are 7 broken links. Some of those are internal, so it's probably worth just sorting those out. It's not massive, but you know, there's no reason to have broken links these days. Yes,
it's true. But yeah, I think on that, let's kind of try and whiz through to the next one, because we've got about 20 minutes left, and we need to check through Alistair's site, and we've got Ahmed's site, and then we've also got Daryl. So we'll see how many we can fit in the next 20 minutes. But this site as well was the other one that we had submitted beforehand, Simon. So leonardoenglish.com. Could just copy and paste that in. And this website is about learning English through podcasts. So, you know, learn more than English. The one thing that confuses me a little bit is that image, because there's a question mark over the top of this guy's head, that I read it as a question. Like, learn more than English, and then I just kind of get a bit confused. I don't know if that was, you could literally just flip that image. You could literally just flip it, and it would make more sense. But I mean, you've got, I like how you've got that space just to have a call to action at the beginning, and that brings people to the podcast section where you've got different subjects, so you can kind of filter it in terms of different areas of things that you want to hear. And you've kind of split this up into like member-only content and free content as well, which I suppose is nice in terms of incentives. But yeah, just looking through the homepage, I mean, you've got a lot of content going on there. You've got your pricing and like why people should become members, and I quite like it how it's transparent. It just seems like quite a transparent kind of business that, you know, you get all the information that you might need on the homepage as well. But I think the more we go down, the more there's just, I feel it's just some wasted space when, like, for this, for example, like just having the one line and it's just like going down and down, and you think it's never going to end. I think, what do you think about the way that homepage is looking?
Yeah, it's very bold. I was a bit concerned about that the pop up at the top to start with. It was covering the main navigation up the top here, which is interesting. I agreed I'd just switch that around. That would be simple to do. But the first thing when I get to a site that I've never seen before, that I'm looking for, because we've gone straight into this and not from search, so we may have come across a link from someone from something else. You may not know what it is, and the key thing for me is any homepage has got to really say exactly what you do on the site, and having that learn more than English is a massive thing. Learn what more than English? The English suggests potentially languages. But when I was at school, there was all sorts of subjects: physics, biology, etc. Who knows? Is it aimed at kids at school? Is it aimed at adults? So then you start to go down, and then you start to get the actual content, which is good. Interesting typeface, a bit of a type file. So I'm always looking at typefaces. It's good. You can read it well. It's very, and the links are clear, except that's not a link, is it? The links aren't clear.
Yeah.
I would expect it to be links, but there we go. So
I think bold, make it bold. I think instead of maybe changing the color.
It's possible there isn't a bold version of the typeface available, which is depending on what typeface it is, etc. Does this look familiar? Nice that links here to all the places that where the podcast can be get hold of. So I got this far, and I know it's about podcasts about learning languages.
Yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah.
I think in terms of what it does.
That may be a little bit big, but it's not really an issue. I mean, I haven't looked at this on mobile yet, so we can. Okay, I'm not a fan of carousels, but actually, when it comes to things like this, with reviews and testimonials, I think it works pretty fine, because people are really only going to go through this if they're interested. Having one in the first place, you can see they've got testimonials, and if people are going to go through an experience of actually buying stuff, they do look for reviews and what other people are saying about it. It's the strongest advocacy is the strongest way of selling anything. Get people on your side, and they sell it for you. So testimonials are key, because people want to read that somebody's had a good time with it.
Mm-hmm. I checked it on mobile. It did look responsive. So that's always good. That's really important, especially if you are checking your analytics. You might find that most people are actually going to your site from mobile. I think that's another thing to whoever's listening. Just keep that in mind as well. Check your analytics and make sure your site's responsive for mobile.
This little bit is very interesting. I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, that's a unique thing within the CMS, because it's not a WordPress site, it's a Webflow CMS, this one.
I've never seen anything like that before. I think it's very good. It's a good little unique selling bit. Although when it first started moving, I thought, hello, there's a marquee tag in there, but they don't work anymore.
Or maybe the site's hacked, who knows? But
could be. Okay, we've got a line underneath, so yes, that is a link. So blue and a link, so that's fine. I've got a little podcast in a moment. Pricing fine. Yeah, I think it's maybe the homepage is a little bit too long, but there's that question about, years ago people just said don't have great big long homepages because people don't like to scroll. But actually, when you're on a mobile device, that's all you do. You can't fit a site into a mobile screen. So people get very used to scrolling a lot and very quickly. So if they're looking at this on mobile, they're whizzing through it. And yes, if they get thumb ache because they're going through a huge, very long homepage, maybe that's not the thing.
Well, Simon, they're going to get a massive thumb ache, because if you go to the blog section, there's just we're back at it with the infinite scroll. So you got to keep going and going. So, definitely I don't recommend having something like that, because no one's going to be scrolling all the way down.
It's not infinite scroll there. I've got to the bottom. No.
So maybe it's just having pages just to split up the because if it's on mobile, it's just that's a lot of scrolling that you have to do.
There's a lot of scrolling there. Yeah. But maybe infinite scroll is a massive warning bell to me, because that means that Google's not going to get to see all that content, which means you really need other ways of getting around the site. If you really want infinite scroll, look, it's here. But even this is quite long. I think if I go and check that page in Google Search Console, it'll only really grab the maybe tops 2 screens worth, if you're lucky. So it's good to ensure there's strong internal structures in the site to get people around. And blogs are one of those funny things. If it's a diary type thing, which is what blogs originally were, and you're publishing those articles on a regular basis, and you're linking in to other parts of the site, that it's going to work, because you're giving fresh content, and Google's looking at those links and seeing what they're pointing at. So let's go and look at the latest one. Okay, so we'll see some zoomage going on. That's an external link. That's external too. Okay, so this is a subscribe bit at the bottom. I think that could be strong. There's a CTA there, but email address for yeah. So okay, so they're running an email list as well. And email is probably email lists are one of the most underused or forgotten about strong ways to market to people. And I know people get spam like there's no tomorrow through their email, but actually it's still one of the best ways of doing it. You keep people in touch, and people tend to buy things where they come back to you, never first time. It's return visits that usually buy the stuff. Yeah, I would want to have a look at the whole site and see where there's potential internal linking possibilities in there to really boost stuff up. And really, we've only got how to listen to all podcasts and blogs, so maybe a bit more structure. Maybe
I think they've tried, but they've tried to keep it quite minimalistic in terms of navigation and stuff. So I think if that's what you're going for, it might work fine. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you just want to get people to, what do you want people to do on the site? You want them to get interested in kind of learning English through podcasts, and you want them to sign up or listen to the free ones and then sign up for a membership. So I think in that case, in that sense, from like a UX perspective, it's not too bad. But obviously you've got loads of blog content as well. So it'd be interesting to kind of see how those efforts have paid off. Are you actually getting traffic to these blog posts, or are they just there for the sake of being there? Is the other big question, I think.
Yeah. I'd like to see some more knowledge panel stuff in there for the business, and that is probably most easily obtainable by sticking structured data into the site. I don't know if Webflow can do structured data, but if it doesn't, it will be able to. You'll be able to put scripts in somewhere, so you can write it yourself, put it through it via as JSON LD, and put it in there. And certainly for podcasts and stuff, that's well worth doing now that Google's actually doing all sorts of bits and pieces on podcasts as well. So
yeah, because that can also drive you a lot of listeners as well, new listeners and potentially new customers. So yeah, take advantage of that stuff, especially because Google is pushing a lot into that, into the whole podcast scene.
Hey, so there's a carousel on the SERP to go and have a target at. If you're not in the first few, I've gone too far.
I wonder if you type in "learn more than English" podcast and see if that does anything, because that's what we saw at the.
Well, interestingly, there's an advert.
There's an advert, but there's also the first even organic result about 10. That little snippet there, podcast to learn English. Go to this webmaster, say hello. We've got the best podcast to learn English. Get them on there. That link as well by Preply, that's getting traffic. So you need to be on there. However you manage to get yourself on there, I think always reach out and try and grab these opportunities because they're always possible.
Yeah, indeed. Well, it's a obviously a big market, a lot of players in there, which is not surprising. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think.
Anything else?
No, I think we've covered a fair bit. I think it's just, it's just that little tweaks in the homepage, I think, might just make it a bit nicer for users. And again, I think like that strapline, learn more than English, maybe making it a bit clearer, or at least just yeah. I've kind of lost where the kind of focal point of the recommendations is, but I think it's look. I think the site looks nice. I think it's been branded really nicely. It's been designed nicely, and like the type looks nice. Just so yeah, it has a good look and feel. I just hope that the podcasts are as good as the way the site looks, which I haven't listened to them, but yeah, I think definitely Webflow. That's a plus to Webflow, I suppose, for how you've managed to make that site look as a CMS.
Okay, I'm just jumping into the source code because I want to see what Webflow's pumping out, and that doesn't look too bad actually. Although that that first one line is line 20. There's a lot going on in line 20. But yeah, so I'm used to working on Wix site. It's got 6,000 lines before you get to any content. This is looking pretty sharp.
Comparatively, definitely. But yeah, so big up to Webflow for doing some good stuff, I think, in terms of the way this stuff looks anyway. But we've got about 5 minutes left, Simon. So we've got two sites that were submitted. I know that Ahmed put his site first, and Daryl, if we don't manage to get to yours today, we'll catch you in the next session anyway, or just send me a message on Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever. So do you want to go through one more, Simon?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Which one is it? The quality.
It's a Quality Resource LLC. Yeah, Quality Resource LLC.
Oh, no dot in it. Try that again.
What do you think, Simon, of websites when you load them in and you'll see this is where it's got that percentage thing going up? What do you think of that?
On a very personal level, it just reminds me too much of Flash to make me comfortable. And I just never liked Flash, although there's some fantastic designs with Flash. Yeah, so I would want. I'm just I don't know. I'm a bit. It put me off
because it happens on every single thing that you load. You've got that. Look, I'm just not a fan. Please,
no, I'm not a fan either.
But yeah, so this is. I'm trying to understand what this site is. So it's called Quality Resource, but that can mean a lot of stuff.
Doesn't give you any clues at all,
I'm just looking, analyze and find the perfect solutions for your bit. So it's an SEO agency.
Marvelous. Now we're in trouble.
So So in one of the kind of carousel things, that the sliders, so it says, one of them says digital agency, another one says, so this is apparently an SEO agency. But if I look at your, the page title for your homepage, it just says Quality Resource. I mean, there's no way for anyone to know what you do. So they're not going to know, how are they going to find you? How are they going to know you're an SEO agency until they land on a site called Quality Resource and happen to just see somebody describing themselves as an SEO agency? That just threw me off straight away, because I thought from the beginning, it was like maybe online resources or something like that. That's what I think when I think of resources, but yeah. What do you think of that? What do you make of that?
Well, Quality Resource as a brand isn't particularly strong because it's using two very common words. So, yes, the logo is quite interesting, but it doesn't. You're quite right. It does not give you any indication of what they do. So, and those three panels on the home screen there. Radical integrity, people first, and process perfection. It's all a bit meh. Well, it doesn't tell me what you do. Right, so we go into this bit. Who are we? Okay, specialize in helping small and medium-sized businesses grow online. Great. Why doesn't that say that up the front somewhere else? Well, it's down there, but you got all this rubbish in there before. I don't think these 3 bits help describe what's going on, or they really don't draw me in, unless, of course, I am looking for radical integrity. I'll go and have a quick look on that and Google later and see what comes up with radical integrity. It's just one of those iffy words. It's like, wow, what does that mean? I'm sure it's not going to rank for anything interesting. Yeah, but it's a fresh design, but it looks, apart from these images which are interesting or cut out bits and pieces, it looks like every other one out there.
To me, and I'll give you my honest thought. To me, this looks like if I was to go on somewhere like Theme Forest to get some kind of WordPress template for like an agency or something, just really kind of just a plain template. That's what I think it would look like. Just because I think you're using too many stock photos. You're not talking about your results, which is, and you've mentioned in the section, you say 330 active clients, but then you've got no testimonials on the homepage. Like, could you not just get one of the active clients to give you a testimonial that you can add onto that homepage? Well, not that I've seen anyway, because I mean, you know, it just, I don't know, it just feels like a theme template. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but that's just my honest opinion.
Well, it is a theme template. And there we have it. Own them. It's the theme. But yeah, it looks and it feels like a theme as well. I mean, that's, you know, with themes, I don't know, these images, if we go do an image search on that, well, we may find that some of these actual people in the team. So let's have a look about us. Oh dear, that's not gone well.
About us, is that the same for? Yes, I can't. Oh, because it goes to about company. Maybe yeah. If I just put about, maybe it might work then. But no. So broken internal links already. I mean, if somebody wants to find out about your company, they can't. And this is, and the biggest problem I have with this is when you think of the nature of the business. This is a B2B digital agency. So people aren't just going to contact you straight away and give you their money. Like, they want to know about who you guys are. I mean, because you haven't specified at all where you're actually based. Because if we look at the top, we've got a location icon, and we've got UK, United States of America, United Arab Emirates, and Australia. I mean, we're not going to have any idea as to where you guys are based, where you guys are from, and okay, yeah, you've got your locations, sure, but I mean, if you can't go to the About Us, no one's going to have an idea where you're based. So somebody, a business owner of, let's say, let's say it's a relatively medium-sized enterprise, you know, they want to be spending maybe a few grand a month for these kind of services. But how are they going to trust you with that $3,000 if they don't even know who you are and where you're from and all that kind of stuff? And there's no faces as well, which is another big thing, because, you know, people can tell stock photos from a mile away. So it's just about building trust. And in previous weeks, that's something that's been brought up as well. You want to have a level of trust that you can kind of give to prospective users and prospective customers, especially when it comes to kind of B2B kind of things such as this.
So with the content marketing page, yeah, you're right. That loading thing is it's a bit off-putty, but I think there may be more than that. If we go and have a look at the site and what's actually in Google,
I feel like it's just not finished. It's just not finished.
The development page isn't indexed, and if we actually have a look and see what is indexed, there's only register, terms and conditions, password reset, and add your business. There are none of the pages are indexed. So I'd have apoplexy looking at this and thinking, if I go and have a look at the Google Search Console and see what's indexed, you might find that nothing is. Well, apart from those 4, which is just not good enough.
I think that this site, in essence, is so Ahmed, correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, this looks like you've bought the theme from Theme Forest, you've set it up on the site, you've tried to add, some content to your homepage, but none of the other pages are finished yet. And there's a lot of branding things that need to be worked on as well. So the stuff that we said before, I think it's really applicable, but this site's just not finished. So we can't, it's hard to kind of go too much into the content because there is no content really on this site, and nothing's indexed. And
so look at the social icons up top left, they don't actually go anywhere.
Yeah, the bottom one on the bottom of the page as well, same thing. On the homepage I noticed. So yeah, it's just not finished. So I think you really want to make sure that you make the site not feel like a template, and I think that's your number 1 priority for now, is make it have some of your touch, so your business's touch, like a feel that actually real humans run this site, and it's not just a theme that someone made once and then just kind of slapped it on WordPress and that's it. So and yeah, Ahmed, he did clarify that it's not finished, but I think you need to make it believable for a business owner to want to believe that you guys can do the work for us, especially when I looked at the kind of page titles and stuff. And yes, it's not finished, but one of the first things that I do whenever I start a site is optimize the homepage straight away. So the meta description, the page titles, that kind of stuff, you've only got quality resource as the title for your homepage. So it's not finished. And if there's a way, I don't know if you can remove that loading thing when you go on each page. I don't know if you can. Maybe it's a restriction for the theme that you have, which I guess is unfortunate if that's the case. But yeah, just make it look more human, like make it look like it's actually from your company and it's not just a theme. That's probably all I have to say.
The only thing I would add is knowing all that and looking at this, when you see that first image across the homepage, you expect that to be, well, I expect that to be the team that's behind this. 2 things wrong with this. I'm pretty sure it's not the team, and if I went and searched stock photography, I'd find that use on a load of other sites. You want unique images. You've got to have unique images, because otherwise people look at it and say, yeah, that looks like every other one. I've seen this image before, possibly even I'm using this image, and then that it's not real. So you really want unique images, and preferably ones of the team.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and that just goes to the whole point about trust, because if somebody's going to ask you to hop on a video call, let's say one of your locations is Australia, you've got an Australian business owner wants to hop on a call to meet your team, and then this guy is like, well, then who are these people on your homepage? Where are they? Can I speak to them? Who's the kind of who's your design guy? Who's your SEO guy? So again, just building trust, and I think that's the kind of only thing to say. I guess the kind of main priority, because it isn't a finished site. The
other thing I'd like to do is I would normally on the site I go and have a look and see how a site's doing locally, but I've no idea where it is. Let alone country, let alone where in the country, because local business is just as good as business anywhere else. And if you can get in the local pack, etc., and do business locally, that's brilliant, because you're not competing against, well, for SEO in this case, the likes of us.
Yeah, and I think also, especially when you're mentioning that you've got these locations all around the world, not having like a GMB profile, for instance, in these particular areas can be quite difficult, especially if you are, let's say, trying to challenge for ranking in local packs and things of that nature. So yeah, you do need to show proof, so your NAPs have, your business name there, your address, your postcode, phone number, and your different locations, and have GMBs as well. And also you've got a 2 kind of contact thing as well. Last thing I'd say about just your menu bar. So you've got that free a quote, which doesn't make much sense to me. Like just that the free a quote doesn't make sense. But you've got the contact that goes to contacts. Oh, which is our content. Oh, okay, right, okay. Oh, it's like get a quote, I think you mean for that. Yeah, you can probably have that on the same page. I don't feel like you need two pages for that. But yeah, I think, you know, we've covered quite a lot of what's missing from this site. So Ahmed, if you can go away and kind of take that on board and you know, build it up again, and then reach out to me or Simon later down the line once you've got everything on there, and then it'd be easier to kind of check your progress and see how you've been doing.
The only other thing I would add is don't follow the herd. Try and put something unique in there. And if you look at my site, I've got 2 pages, and one of those, not my personal site, but a work site. The second page is a sitemap, HTML sitemap, which is that page itself on the homepage. That's it. But we do most of our work via word of mouth, not through the website. And we get very little traffic through the website, and we know that. And one day maybe we'll make it more. But we know where our audience is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another really important thing. So sometimes it isn't just down to organic search, which I guess kind of contradicts the whole point of these SEO site audits, because we are trying to improve organic search visibility. But again, yeah, it's down to knowing your audience, knowing who you're targeting as well. And that's just all just business 101, isn't it? You need to know who your audiences are and where they hang out to be able to target them. But yeah, I think that sums it up, unless anything to add. But so Daryl, really quickly, we've run out of time for this episode, but send me a message on Twitter, LinkedIn, or send a message to Simon as well. In the future session, we'll get to yours as the first one. But yeah, I think we can wrap it up there. So thanks everyone for watching this week's episode, and thanks a lot for Simon for coming on here, sharing some really great insights. As well as everyone on the live chat. And next week, I don't think there's a session next week because I'm appearing on somebody else's show on a Thursday. So these site audit sessions will be back the week after. So in 2 weeks' time, where Daryl, you'll be probably number 1. So don't forget. But yeah, thanks a lot, Simon, for coming on. Did you enjoy this session?
Yes, it was good fun. I mean, for me, it's just been a cursory look at the things, and I really like to dive deep into stuff. And to be honest, that may take several days. We haven't all got time to sit and watch me faff about for a couple of days as I'm looking at stuff. So, but yeah, no, it's always interesting to look at these sites fresh and try and pass some hopefully interesting information over.
Yeah, well, that's been the consensus from people in the live chat. But yeah, make sure to like the video as well and subscribe if you haven't, and also follow Simon on his social media platforms as well. And I'll leave a link to his site in the comments as well after this broadcast ends. So thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you next time.